All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning, I am Abhishek Mukhopadhyay and with me is Subhadra Ramachandran. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls for developing Indian military into a future force, Lord's dedication shown by armed forces on the northern border and during COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister to dedicate to the nation 7,500 Jan Aushadhi Kendra at Shillong to mark Jan Aushadhi Divas celebrations today. Campaigning gathers momentum for upcoming assembly elections. Prime Minister to address mega rally at Brigade Parade Ground in Kolkata today. BJP releases first list of 57 candidates for West Bengal assembly elections. Congress announces names of 13 candidates for first two phases of assembly polls in West Bengal. Also issues first list of 40 candidates for Assam assembly elections. India crosses 2 crore mark in administering COVID-19 vaccine doses. Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama administered first dose of COVID-19 vaccine at Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. In sports, PV Sindhu to face Carolina Marin of Spain in the final of the Swiss Open badminton tournament today. India beats England in the fourth and final cricket test match, qualifies for World Test Championship final, and India hold Great Britain to 1-1 draw in the third match of the European Hockey Series in Belgium. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stressed the need to develop Indian military into a future force in the backdrop of fast-changing technological landscape. Addressing the valedictory session of the Combined Commanders Conference at Kevadia in Gujarat, the Prime Minister asked the 3 services to get rid of systems and practices that are no longer relevant. The Prime Minister called for a holistic approach focused on breaking down civil-military silos and emphasized the need to expedite decision-making. Mr. Modi also stressed the importance of enhancing indigenization in the national security system, not just in sourcing equipment and weapons, but also in the doctrines, procedures and customs practiced in the armed forces. The Prime Minister also laid stress on optimizing manpower planning. Sharing pictures from the conference on social media platform, Mr. Modi said there is a need to make India Atmanirbhar in the defense sector. The Prime Minister appreciated the resolute dedication shown by the armed forces over the past year while dealing with the challenging situation on the northern border and also the COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister was briefed by the Chief of Defence Staff about the discussions during this year's conference. The Prime Minister expressed his appreciation for the structure and agenda of the conference and particularly appreciated the inclusion of junior commission officers and non-commissioned officers in this year's meeting. Prime Minister pointed out that the country will be celebrating 75 years of its independence next year and called upon the armed forces to use the occasion to undertake activities and initiatives that will inspire the youth of the country. The 3-day conference, a premier brainstorming event of the military commanders from the 3 services, culminated yesterday. During the 3-day conference, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, the military commanders and a team of secretary-level officers from the Ministry of Defence participated in deliberations.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the Jan Aushadhi Divas celebrations at 10 a.m. today through video conferencing. The Prime Minister will dedicate to the nation the 7,500th Jan Aushadhi Kendra at Naigrims at Shillong in Meghalaya during the event. Mr. Modi will interact with beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana and also give awards to stakeholders by recognizing their excellent work. Union Minister for Chemicals and Fertilizers will also be present on the occasion. More from our correspondent.
Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana endeavors to provide quality medicines at an affordable price. The number of stores under the scheme has grown to 7,499 with all districts of the country covered. Sales in the current financial year has led to total savings of nearly 3,600 crore rupees for the common citizens. The cost of medicines sold at the Jan Aushadhi Kendra is cheaper by 50 to 90% 20% than their corresponding market rates. The first week of March is being celebrated as Jan Aushadhi Week across the nation with the theme of Jan Aushadhi Seva Bhi Rozgar Bhi, with the last day being observed as the Jan Aushadhi Divas. Anand Chaturvedi, AIR News, Delhi.
All India Radio Delhi will broadcast live the function on its FM Gold and Indraprasth channels from 10 a.m. The broadcast will also be live streamed on AIR Live News 24/7 and Akashwani AIR YouTube channels. President Ramnath Kovind will lay the foundation stone for development of Singorgarh Fort in Damoh district of Madhya Pradesh today. The President is on a 2-day visit to the state. Mr. Kovind will also address a state-level tribal convention at Singrampur village in Damoh district. More from our Bhopal correspondent.
Magnificent Singorgarh Fort is located in Damoh district, about 50 km from Jabalpur city. It is the fourth of 52 Garh of Maharaja Sangram Shah. Union Tourism Minister Prahlad Singh Patel informed that the fort is closely associated with Gondwana's Rani Durgavati and the Tourism Ministry has allotted 26 crore rupees for the development of the fort. Singorgarh Fort was probably the safest fort of that time because this huge fort was built on the top of a mountain. It was difficult to attack due to its rough geographical location. But now the whole mountain has ruins of walls and outposts of the fort. Many of its watchtowers are still visible. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Singrampur Village, Damoh.
Campaigning is gaining momentum for assembly elections in West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address a mega rally at the Brigade Parade Ground in Kolkata at 2 p.m. today. According to the BJP, Mr. Modi's rally is seen as a culmination of Parivartan Yatra, which was launched by the party in February. This will be the first election rally to be addressed by the Prime Minister after issuance of poll notification for West Bengal. State BJP President Dilip Ghosh said Mr. Modi will set the tone for the election campaign at the rally, which will be attended by the party workers from across the state. Prime Minister is scheduled to hold more than 20 rallies in Bengal during the assembly polls. Election to the West Bengal Assembly will be held in 8 phases, beginning with polling for 30 seats on the 27th of this month. TMC leader and Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee will be taking part in a rally at Shiliguri. Allies of the Sanyukt Morcha Congress-led parties and Indian Secular Front had their first joint program since announcement of the alliance in Kolkata yesterday, where senior leaders Biman Boshu of the CPIM and Abdul Manan of the Congress took part. The Bharatiya Janata Party has released the first list of 57 candidates for West Bengal Assembly elections. The party has pitted Shubhendu Adhikari against TMC President and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee in Nondigram. Mr. Adhikari, who used to be the key aide of Ms. Banerjee, joined the BJP few months back. Former cricketer Ashok Dinda will be the party candidate from Moina, while former IPS officer Bharti Ghosh will contest from Debra seat. Congress has also released its first list of 13 candidates for the West Bengal polls. The party has fielded Samir Roy from Kharagpur Sadar seat, while Parth Pratim Banerjee will fight from Purulia. Radha Rani Banerjee has been given a ticket from Bakura seat. Congress has also released its first list of 40 candidates for Assam Assembly elections. Party State President Ripun Bora will contest from Gopur Assembly seat, while Shubramitra Gogoi will be the party candidate from Sibsagar. Party senior leader Debabrata Saikia will contest from Nazira Assembly seat, while Dr. Anuj Kumar Mech will fight from Tejpur seat.
In poll-bound Tamil Nadu, political parties are firming up seat-sharing talks and finalizing the constituencies to contest by racing against time. The DMK has signed an agreement with the MDMK, allotting 6 seats to contest in the forthcoming Assembly General Elections. Filing of nominations for the polls in the state begins on the 12th of this month. More from our Chennai correspondent.
A highlight of the seat-sharing agreement between the DMK and the MDMK is that its junior partner will contest in all the 6 allotted seats in the DMK symbol. In both the AADMK and the DMK camps, talks with their partners with whom the agreement over seat allocation is yet to be concluded are going on in a frenetic pace. Once it is completed, another round of talks on identifying the constituencies to field their candidate is set to begin. Meanwhile, the state election authorities have notified 9 different formats in which the contestants with criminal antecedents and their political parties are to publicize the details. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah is on a day-long visit to Tamil Nadu and Kerala today. Mr. Shah will launch Vijay Sankalp Mahasampark Abhiyan, a door-to-door campaign in Suchindram town in Tamil Nadu. He is expected to attend various important programs, including a massive road show in Kanyakumari. In Thiruvananthapuram, Mr. Shah will visit Sri Belur Mutt to offer prayers. He will address the valedictory function of BJP's Kerala Vijay Yatra at Shangumukham later in the evening. A core committee meet of the BJP is also scheduled for the day.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls for developing Indian military into a future force. Lord's dedication shown by armed forces on the northern border and during COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister to dedicate to the nation 7,500th Jan Aushadhi Kendra at Shillong to mark Jan Aushadhi Divas celebrations today. Campaigning gathers momentum for upcoming assembly elections. Prime Minister to address mega rally at Brigade Parade Ground in Kolkata today. BJP releases first list of 57 candidates for West Bengal assembly elections. Congress announces names of 13 candidates for first two phases of assembly polls in West Bengal. Also issues first list of 40 candidates for Assam assembly elections. India crosses 2 crore mark in administering COVID-19 vaccine doses. Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama administered first dose of COVID-19 vaccine at Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. In sports, PV Sindhu to face Carolina Marin of Spain in the final of Swiss Open badminton tournament today. India beats England in the fourth and final cricket test match, qualifies for World Test Championship final. And India hold Great Britain to 1-1 draw in third match of European Hockey Series in Belgium. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back. You are listening to the morning news. The cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses administered in the country has crossed 2.06 crore. The Health Ministry in a statement said that so far 2,662,073 vaccine doses have been given to the people. The ministry said over 11,64,000 vaccine doses were given till 7 p.m. yesterday on the 50th day of nationwide COVID-19 vaccination. Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama received the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine at Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh yesterday. He urged the people to get inoculated as a preventive measure. Meanwhile, registration for corona vaccine for those above 60 years and above 45 years with comorbidities is rising in Himachal Pradesh. More from a Shimla correspondent.
The COVID vaccination campaign is going on in full swing in this state. Chief Minister Jairam Thakur, ex-Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh and Speaker Vipin Singh Parmar have already been inoculated. On the other hand, the Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama was vaccinated with the first dose at the General Hospital Dharamshala yesterday. Apart from health and frontline workers, individuals aged 45 and above with specific comorbidities are also being inoculated in this state. Meanwhile, 57,473 patients have been recovered fully from COVID-19 in this state so far. However, 72 fresh cases of corona have also been reported from various parts of the state in the last 24 hours. The total number of deaths due to COVID-19 in the state is 984. No COVID-related deaths have been reported in the state during the last 3 days. Sanjeev Sundariyal, AIR News, Shimla.
Rajasthan government has made it mandatory for people coming from Punjab, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat to furnish a COVID-19 negative report on arrival in the state. The decision was taken at a high-level meeting of the Rajasthan government to review the coronavirus situation in the state. This restriction is already in place for passengers travelling from Maharashtra and Kerala. More from our Jaipur correspondent.
The Home Department has issued orders in this regard late last night. The order said that the COVID infection has increased in the border areas of the state in the last few days, due to which the government has taken this decision. The government has issued a letter to all the district collectors directing them to set up checkposts on the border areas. Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot has said that the COVID cases are increasing in the state since the beginning of the March. Mr. Gehlot appealed to the people to follow the COVID protocol, otherwise the government will have to act as strict as before. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
Talking to AIR News, Dr. Mona Desai, chairperson of the Women Doctors Wing of Indian Medical Association, has said that women have acted as multitaskers during the corona pandemic.
औरतों को मल्टीटास्कर की तरह काम करना था। डोमेस्टिक हेल्प उस वक्त सब बंद हो गई थी, घर का भी काम करती थी और उसके साथ शी हैड टू वर्क। लेकिन मुझे याद नहीं है कि एक भी महिला डॉक्टर ने या कोई भी नर्स या हेल्थ वर्कर ने कभी भी किसी को भी कंप्लेन की हो और ये कहा हो कि प्लीज हमें लाइट ड्यूटीज दीजिए, हमें ये 12-12 घंटे की कोविड ड्यूटीज मत दो, हम क्वारंटाइन नहीं होंगे। और ये जो पीपी किट पहन के हम लोग काम कर रहे थे, इट वाज आल्सो वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर विमेन।
International Women's Day will be celebrated tomorrow. The day is celebrated on the 8th of March every year to help forge a gender-equal world, celebrate women's achievements and their increasing visibility in every sphere of life. Interacting with the Nari Shakti awardees on 8th March last year, Prime Minister Narendra Modi had said that these award winners have made great contribution in building the society and inspiring the nation.
पहली बार भारत में विमेंस डे जन सामान्य से जुड़ चुका है। पहली बार देश के सभी अखबार, टीवी चैनल, सब जगह चर्चा में हमारे देश की नारी शक्ति की तरफ विशेष ध्यान गया है। एक प्रकार से आपका सम्मान नारी शक्ति का सम्मान है। आपने देखा होगा भारत में स्वच्छ भारत अभियान ये सरकार के कारण सफल नहीं हुआ है। मेरे हिसाब से सर्वाधिक अगर किसी का योगदान है तो हमारे माताओं बहनों का है। रानी मिस्त्री का कंसेप्ट डेवलप हो, टॉयलेट बनाने का काम खुद हमारी बहनें करें, कंस्ट्रक्शन एक्टिविटी करें, जस्ट मिशन के कारण, ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा प्रेरणा है।
The theme this year is Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. We have more from our correspondent.
At every occasion, women have brought glory and laurels to the country and proved their abilities in various fields, be it land, air or water. The central government has also accorded high priority to the empowerment of women and undertaken many initiatives including access to education, better healthcare and improving gender sensitivity. Mahila Shakti Kendra scheme empowers rural women through community participation by involvement of student volunteers. The scheme is envisaged to work at various levels and at the national and state level, technical support to the respective government on issues related to women is provided. Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme is aimed at preventing gender-biased, sex-selective elimination, ensuring survival and protection of the girl child, and ensuring education and participation of the girl child. Suparna Saikya, AIR News, Delhi.
In the run-up to the International Women's Day tomorrow, All India Radio News is honouring women achievers from diverse fields by bringing their stories. Today we bring you the success stories of tribal women. The tribal women of Kabir Dham district of Chhattisgarh found their source of income by forming a self-help group. Vidya Srinivas, the member of the Jai Ma Durga self-help group, said they took a loan of 1 lakh rupees from the Grameen Bank and the interest rate on the amount was very less. The members of the self-help group earned 10,000 rupees each after repaying the loan. Talking to All India Radio News, Vidya Srinivas informed about the activities the group is involved in.
ग्रामीण बैंक से हमें 7% में लोन मिलता है। उस पैसे से हम खेती बाड़ी करते हैं। 1 लाख रुपए लिए थे और उसमें से सभी 10 सदस्य हैं, उस 10 सदस्य 10-10 हजार रुपया बांट लिया गया था और उसी से अपना खेती बाड़ी किया था और खेती बाड़ी करते हुए उसके पैसा हम वापस कर दिए और उसमें हमको 10,000 रुपए तक का मुनाफा मिला। महिलाएं कह रही हैं कि जब इतना कम ब्याज में हमको पैसा मिल रहा है तो हम इस समूह को क्यों बंद करें, हम इसे आगे बढ़ाना चाहते हैं।
Union Agriculture Minister Narendra Tomar has directed the concerned officials to ensure that the benefits of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi reaches eligible farmers in Odisha. This comes in response to the concern expressed by Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan on the stoppage in payment of PM Kisan benefits to the eligible farmers in the state. More from our Odisha correspondent.
In a letter to the Union Agriculture Minister, Mr. Pradhan had drawn his attention to the government of Odisha stopping payments to 14.5 lakh farmers for physical re-verification. Mr. Pradhan said this has led to the reduction of the number of PM Kisan beneficiaries in the state. Mr. Pradhan had urged the Union Agriculture Minister for expeditious rectification of the details of the beneficiaries whose records have been put in stop payment mode. Highlighting Prime Minister Narendra Modi's mission for doubling the farmers' income in the country, Mr. Pradhan had said that the Government of India has undertaken a slew of high-impact initiatives for the purpose that includes the PM Kisan scheme. Grace Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
In Uttar Pradesh, a Gur Mahotsav or Jaggery festival is underway in Lucknow. Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath inaugurated the two-day event yesterday. Speaking on the occasion, the Chief Minister said that the state government aims to provide maximum benefit of their produce to the farmers, and for the purpose, the Mahotsav has been organized. He said the sugarcane farmers in the state have been paid 1,25,600 crore rupees for the sugarcane crops. The aim of this event is to motivate the jaggery producers to make high-quality jaggery and its products and create awareness about health benefits of jaggery. More from a Lucknow correspondent.
The Indira Gandhi Pratishthan of capital city Lucknow is filled with natural fragrance of jaggery and co-products where producers from different parts of the state have exhibited their various products. In Ayurveda, jaggery is considered a nutrient rich with innumerable medicinal properties. The COVID pandemic has increased the belief of people in stamina booster produce like gur. There are several varieties of gur exhibited in Mahotsav like jaggery mixed with dry ginger, saffron, fennel, cardamom, groundnut, cashew and almond. Gud ki kheer, amrita tea, jaggery laddu, jaggery kulfi, jaggery jaleba and jaggery pudding are attracting people a lot. MS Yadav, AIR News, Lucknow.
Prime Minister's interactive program Pariksha Pe Charcha will be held this month. This will be the 4th edition of Pariksha Pe Charcha program. It will be organized virtually. Through this program, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a brainstorming session with school students, teachers and parents in connection with the upcoming examinations. The registration process for the program is underway on MyGov platform and it will remain open till the 14th of this month. The participants of this program will be selected through an online competition on MyGov platform.
In the United States, the Senate has passed $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan in a party line vote after 12-hour struggle to get one Democrat, Joe Manchin's support for President Joe Biden's America Rescue Plan. The all-night session saw Democrats battling among themselves over jobless aid and the Republican minority failing in attempts to push through some 36 amendments. This relief package will provide $1,400 direct payments to the millions of Americans, $300 a week in extended jobless benefits for the 9.5 million people thrown out of work in the crisis, billions of dollars for vaccine distribution, and funds to help reopen schools and colleges. The House will vote on Tuesday on the bill to approve changes made in the Senate, and then it will go to U.S. President to be signed into law. In badminton, Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu will take on top seed and Olympics gold medalist Carolina Marin in the women's singles final of the Swiss Open tournament in Basel today. It will be the first meeting between the two in over 2 years. Sindhu defeated 4th seed Mia Blichfeldt of Denmark 22-20, 21-10 in the semi-final last evening. However, former champion Kidambi Srikanth lost to top seed Victor Axelsen of Denmark 13-21, 19-21 in the men's singles semi-final. Second seed Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty suffered an unexpected loss against Kim Astrup and Anders Skarup Rasmussen of Denmark 10-21, 17-21 in the last 4 clash of the men's doubles.
It was a golden day for India in the field of cricket as the men in blue defeated England by an innings and 25 runs in the 4th and final test played at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad last evening to enter the final of the inaugural edition of the World Test Championship. With this win, India clinched the 4-match series 3-1 and sealed a place in the final of the inaugural edition of the World Test Championship.
Absolutely outstanding. Got off to a bad start, if you want to call that first defeat in Chennai, but thereafter they look like the champions. KTM Test Series, another one in the pocket for India. 13th consecutive series wins, and Virat Kohli and his boys will be pleased that they've qualified for the World Test Championship, and they will be playing at the Lords against New Zealand.
While Rishabh Pant was declared Player of the Match, Player of the Series award went to Ravichandran Ashwin. Both teams will now shift their focus to the shortest format of the game, as they will play 5 T20 internationals at the same venue starting from the 12th of this month. Now, India will meet New Zealand in the final of the ICC World Test Championship, which is scheduled to start from 18th of June at Lord's Cricket Ground. New Zealand had already qualified for the final of the World Test Championship last month. With the comprehensive 3-1 Test Series win over England, Team India has reclaimed the top spot in the latest ICC Test Team rankings. President Ramnath Kovind congratulated Team India for their achievements. In European Hockey Series, the match between Indian men's team and Great Britain ended 1-1 draw at Antwerp in Belgium last evening. It was the third game of the 4-match series. The next match of the series between India and Great Britain will be played tomorrow. The Indian team played out a 1-1 draw against Germany in the second game. Earlier, the world number 4 India crushed Germany 6-1 in the first match.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for today. The national capital Delhi may witness thunderstorm with rain. The minimum temperature was 15 degrees Celsius in the city, while the maximum temperature is expected to be around 34 degrees. Mumbai will have mainly clear sky with the maximum temperature expected to rise up to 32 degrees Celsius. Chennai is expected to have partly cloudy sky with temperature rising from 23 to 33 degrees Celsius. Kolkata recorded a minimum temperature of 23 degrees Celsius and a maximum will be around 35 degrees. Srinagar may witness generally cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain. The minimum temperature was 4 degrees Celsius while maximum will be nearly 8 degrees. Generally cloudy sky with light rain will be there. Jammu will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The lower level of temperature was 14 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 28 degrees. Leh and Gilgit will have overcast sky. Leh recorded minimum temperature of -7 degrees Celsius while the maximum will be around 6 degrees. In Gilgit the temperature will move from 6 to 18 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, partly cloudy sky with possibility of moderate rain is expected. The minimum temperature was 10 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be 18 degrees. In Dehradun, the minimum temperature was recorded at 12 degrees, while the maximum temperature will be around 32 degrees Celsius. The city will have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Chandigarh will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers, with temperature hovering between 16 and 29 degrees Celsius. In Hyderabad, the maximum temperature will be around 35 degrees Celsius, while the maximum was 15 degrees Celsius. Ahmedabad will have clear sky with the maximum temperature expected to be around 38 degrees. The city recorded minimum temperature of 19 degrees Celsius. Patna will have mainly clear sky. The temperature will hover between 19 and 34 degrees. And Guwahati is likely to have partly cloudy sky with possibility of development of thunder and lightning.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address to the country's top military leadership on the concluding day of the Combined Commanders Conference at Kevadia in Gujarat is one of the stories that find prominent mention in the dailies this morning. PM says need to make army a future force, leads Hindustan Times. Adopt world-class systems, PM exhorts defence forces, says the Pioneer. Referring to the battle for Bengal, the Asian Age headlines, BJP fields Shubhendu to take on Mamta in Nondigram. Apex Court to start hybrid physical hearings from 15th March, informs the Statesman. U.S. Defense Secretary to visit India later this month, notes the Tribune. Series done and dusted, Team India make it to Lord's final, states the Indian Express. And finally, to make driving safe, airbags mandated for front passenger seat, reports the Business Line. Rule to apply on all new models from April 1st, existing ones from August 31st.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls for developing Indian military into a future force, Lord's dedication showed by armed forces on the northern border and during COVID-19 pandemic. Prime Minister to dedicate to the nation 7,500 Jan Aushadhi Kendra at Shillong to mark Jan Aushadhi Divas celebrations today. Campaigning gathers momentum for upcoming assembly elections. Prime Minister to address mega rally at Brigade Parade Ground in Kolkata today. BJP releases first list of 57 candidates for West Bengal assembly elections. Congress announces names of 13 candidates for first two phases of assembly polls in West Bengal. Also issues first list of 40 candidates for Assam assembly elections. India crosses 2 crore mark in administering COVID-19 vaccine doses. Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama administered first dose of COVID-19 vaccine at Dharamshala in Himachal Pradesh. In sports, PV Sindhu to face Carolina Marin of Spain in the final of the Swiss Open badminton tournament today. India beats England in the fourth and final cricket test match, qualifies for the World Test Championships final, and India hold Great Britain to 1-1 draw in the third match of the European Hockey Series in Belgium. And for details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.